So the final two examples, I'm going to do these all in one fell swoop here on one video. Find the angle whose sine is that. This goes to the point that I was just making on that first example that we have with the triangle, example 3, where we did the inverse sine of 4/7 to get the angle measure. If you want to find the angle measure and you know the sine is something, okay, so the angle, let's just call the angle A, all right? So I know that sine of this angle I don't know is equal to 0.643. Okay, so that's what I know. And again, taking the words and making a good algebraic, or in this case a trigonometric equation out of it, is important in order to establish where things are. And again, this is a key skill in this lesson. Okay? Don't just push the buttons on your calculator to do it. Actually, write me a good trigonometric statement out of this. So the sine of some angle I don't know is equal to the 0.643. All right, that's how I want you to write this out. And if you know what the sine is, but you don't know what the angle is, that means the angle you're looking for is going to be the inverse sine of that number. I want you to make the connection from this structure here down to this structure here, because it's going to be used a lot, and knowing why you're doing it is more important than being able to do it on your calculator. So again, sine of unknown equals number. That means unknown angle equals inverse sine of that number. If this said tangent, this would say tan -1. If that said cosine, it'd say cosine -1. And again, as far as entering your calculator is concerned, I'm going to use the second sine, 0.643. Again, I always like an end parentheses, so I do that. And I get 40.0159. And keep in mind I'm in degrees mode, so that's 40.0159 degrees. And what that tells me, if I want to make sure I'm right, if I take sine of that number, what should I get?
Same number.
I should get 0.643, right? Because it tells me the sine of this angle is supposed to be that number. So if I take the sine of that angle, now I use regular sine, I type in 40.0159. Before I hit equals, is it going to be exactly 0.643?
No.
No, because I rounded, right? It's going to be pretty close, though. 0.643000169. Okay, that's pretty good. Pretty close, right? So again, that's what it's telling you to do. So if it says find the angle, you have to use the inverse trig function to do it. So going back to example 7 then, it says find the angle. Again, we don't know the angle. We know the cosine is 0.216. Cosine of some angle I do not know is equal to 0.216. Which means the angle I'm looking for is going to be the inverse cosine of 0.216. Again, I go to my calculator and I say, hey calculator, what's the inverse cosine of 0.216? My calculator says, hey, it's 77.5258. Degrees. Alright? So that's kind of what I expect your paper to look like on those problems. Write out a good trigonometric equation, do the inverse trig function on your paper, and then apply that using your calculator to get the answer.